What's up guys, it's Carter here, back with another video for you guys today. Welcome to the channel. If you guys are new to the channel, please get that little house icon in the bottom right corner, click and you can subscribe right there. If you guys do gain knowledge and value from this video, please give it a like, leave a comment of what you guys want to see in the future. So in today's video, I just wanted to cover, what to say to sellers. It can be really scary, jumping on the phone for your first time, and they're throwing you questions, they're chewing you out, and you're kind of freeze there, like, oh man, what should I say? So I just wanted to give you guys some clarification, a little bit of comfort, of what to say. So this will make it a lot easier, when you're jumping on the phone, because anything's easier, when you have a plan, when you have things written out, you know what to say. So, it's going to be a lot easier. So let's jump right into it. So the scripts that I use are actually from Brent Daniels' TalkToPeople.com website, and it's free. So I'll make sure, leave that link in the description for you guys to click on, but it's free. So you go in there, you sign up, there's purchase agreements, there's assignment contracts, there's cold calling scripts, all of it, all for free. You guys can print out and use, right away. So I just wanted to jump right into it, the kind of the intro, of what to say to sellers. So when you're on the phone, right, and you're making calls and you got their name there and they answer, the first thing, let's say their name is Joe, right? So you're like, hello, I'm looking for Joe. Yes. Like, hey Joe, I know this call is a little out of the blue. I was just calling about a property that I believe you own on 123 Main Street. He's like, yes. Like, awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to see if you would consider an offer on your property there. Right? So that's kind of that's the intro of it. That's kind of what to say right away, just to, tell them what you're here for. You want to see if they're going to sell their property, right? So there's 6 responses to that, right? And I got them written down here. I got some notes. I'm not going to remember all this stuff. So there's 6 responses to that, intro, that kind of thing I just said. So there's yes, obviously. Awesome, right? You're getting a deal. Number 2 is yes, how much will you give me, right? We're going to talk about all the objections to these, responses. Number 3 is maybe in the future. Maybe they're waiting down the road. They're not ready right now. 4, the most common one that you're going to get every single day, 90% of the time, no, right? Number 5 is, where did you get my number? It's simple. We don't have to go over this, objection. You could kind of say everything. But, when they're asked, like, how did you get my number? Mainly they're just, kind of, upright. They're not going to sell to you. So just say, I was out in the neighborhood. I wrote down your address. I put it into a little website. It's free. It's all public record, public knowledge. That'll kind of ease them up a little bit and you go on to the next call. Number 6 is, who are you, right? So you can just say, simply, it's like, I'm just a local investor. I'm actually looking to buy a home in your neighborhood. It's just it's friendly. They're like, oh, okay. He's telling the truth. It's not some gimmick or big, story that you're telling them, right? So now I just want to read you guys the, the objections to these responses, right? So let's start with yes, right? So they say yes. It's like, okay, great. You tell them kind of what you are, right? So we purchase properties cash. We pay all the closing costs. There's no real estate commissions. And the best part is we do buy them completely as is. So you don't have to put another cent into the property. So for an offer like that, how much would you take? Okay, so that's kind of the first response, when they say yes. It kind of, it puts the ball right back into their court, like, oh, wow, he's offering all that? Well, how much would I take with an offer like that, right? So when they're selling at a discount and you're paying cash, you're paying all the closing costs, all the doc fees at the title company, they're like, oh, I can kind of see when I can sell a little bit before retail because I don't got to deal with the real estate commissions and stuff like that, right? All right, so number 2 is yes, how much will you give me? So now they're tight, right? They want to know, they just want a number. They want an offer. So now you're going to tell them, you're kind of positioned right back to them. So like, oh, hey, it looks like your home is about 1,200 square feet. Is that correct? They say blah, blah, blah. Awesome. So, have you done any major remodeling like to the kitchens and the bathrooms in the past 5 years? So at this point, you're going to tell if they're, interested or not. Sometimes when I say this, they're like, can we just get to the point? Can you just give me a number? And that's when you just tell them, and it's super simple, guys, is Zillow has a Zestimate. It's not always correct. But what I like to do is I like to do 66% of Zillow. So Zestimate times 0.66. and it gives you kind of a number. In acres, I'm obviously pretty low. That's a low number. Don't be afraid to tell them it. That's how you get discounted properties. Do not be afraid to anchor them low. And they either say no, or tell you some bad words, or hang up on you, or they're like, that could work maybe. Then you're like, yes, 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 because that number you just threw out was so low that you have room to even go up. So when they're like, yeah, we could think about that. That's when it's a great sign. All right, so number 3, maybe in the future. Right? So you're like, awesome, is that okay, maybe if I give you a call back in a month or 2? Simple. If they say, yeah, you can, follow up with me in a month or 2, normally they don't have a problem with it. But if they're like, nah, you can wait, maybe you can call me about 5 years or so, then they're, not interested. So that's just kind of simple, like, yeah, maybe in the future. Be like, okay, can I call you in a month or 2? So that's kind of the response to that one. Number 4 is no. So this is the most common one you're going to get, obviously, and this is the most frequent one that you're going to tell them back. And this is very, very important, guys. When they say no, you're like, okay, I understand. Do you happen to have any other properties that you would consider selling? That is so, so important, because you're going to get tons of no's throughout the day. But when you can, bring it back to them, and they're like, oh, I do have that vacant lot, 10 miles out of town that I've been looking to sell. Or I do have that rental that's been bugging me this whole year. So they kind of think like their other properties. A lot of them are like, no, I don't have any other properties. And some are like, well, I got this land, or I got that. It just gives you more options, right? It just doesn't end the call right there. So it's very important you guys ask that question. Number 5. How did you get my number? I think we all covered these, 5 and 6. Who are you? How did you get my number? Those are kind of I don't get asked those much, so it's not too important. Yeah, so then we're going to go over kind of the pre-qualify. When they say yes. When they say, okay, I might be interested in that offer. When you 66% of Zillow, right? And you're feeling good about it. So on the talktopeople.com website, they also have this 4 pillars of pre-qualifying sheet. And this is such a lifesaver. This helps me so much. When they're objecting back to me, when I'm talking back to them, and we're kind of having a good conversation, and I'm learning a lot about the property, it's because I'm asking these questions, okay? So the 4 pillars of pre-qualifying is, number 1 is the condition of the home. What's the condition of the home? That's gonna, tell the difference. If they're like, oh, it's terrible, it needs tons of work, it's just a shack, that's when you know that their motivation is high. They know that the property is in terrible condition. So they're going to be willing to take a lower number, right? And to ask, some top questions for the condition is, have you done any major remodeling to the kitchen and the bathrooms, like we covered in the last one, right? How is the AC unit and the roof? Is it a 3-bed, 2-bath house? Just simple questions like that, can really tell you a lot about the property and all you really need to know. Because then they'll start kind of flowing stuff out, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong. Or they're like, no, it's in perfect condition. Well, then great, obviously you can go look at the property and see for yourself. And then number 2 is the timeline to sell. How are they really, willing to act quick? Are they looking to sell right away? That's a huge one, guys. So, a top question for timeline is, we usually close in 14 to 30 days. Is that something that's going to work for you? And if they're like, oh yeah, that'd be great, that's when motivation is high. If they're like, I don't know, then no, right? So number 1, condition of the home. Number 2, their timeline to sell. Number 3 is their motivation. So obviously this is a huge one as well. And some top questions for motivation, is if you were to sell this home, where would you move to next? Right? So if they're looking to, if they say, oh, I'm been thinking about moving this place, or I already have a place over here, or I'm moving in with my sister, I'm moving in with my dad. If they already kind of have a plan, then they know that they've been thinking about selling, right? If they're like, oh, I haven't thought about that yet, they're not as motivated, right? So number 3 is motivation. Number 4 is price, obviously. So some good questions for price that I've been throwing out there, when they're really just eager, to get an offer from me is, you've owned it for a while. How much do you think it's worth? Kind of a subtle one, friendly. These are all very friendly. Number 2, how much are you looking for? Number 3 is, if I can get you a cash as is offer, what is the best price if I pay all the closing costs and there's no real estate commissions? You know, then they, you know, the ball is right back in their court and they give you a number, right? So those are some, I mean, 4 pillars of pre-qualifying is amazing. You know, if you can get these down, if you can really qualify them on the phone before you even go and look at the property, I mean, it's just a huge boost to your confidence, you know, just the knowledge of the property. So let me read it one more time. The 4 pillars are, number 1 is condition of the home. Number 2 is the timeline to sell. Number 3, motivation. Number 4, price. Okay? So those are kind of the, you know, the main things you look for when you're kind of talking on the phone and they answer yes, right? Or they answer, give me an offer. Okay? So, like I said, guys, you're going to get a lot of no's. And it can be, you know, it can be a little discouraging, right? You're sitting on the phone all day and you're just getting no, no, no. Maybe even hang up, a couple FUs, you know, a couple go take a hike, you know, stuff like that, you know. And I just, you know, when you guys are calling and you're grinding on the phones, just don't let that discourage you, okay? You are going to get tons of no's, but just remember this. Every single no is getting you one step closer to that next yes. And that yes could be $20,000, $50,000, $100,000. You just don't know, okay? So don't give up after a few no's, okay? Because if you think about it, you're calling them out of the blue, right? They're just picking it up. Oh, do you want to sell your property? No, okay? But the ones that say yes, the ones that say, okay, yeah, I thought about that, those are the ones that you need to be hammering, okay? And those are so exciting. So just remember, you're one call away, all right? And, you know, it's, you know, we can kind of talk about, you know, how long you should call, you know, in later videos, but start small. You know, don't think, you know, when you're watching those YouTube videos, oh, I'm calling 4 to 8 hours a day. And you're like, oh, that's terrible. I'm never going to do that. Start small. You know, make 2 calls tomorrow. Make 2 calls today. Call for 15 minutes. If you guys can stay consistent making calls, it's going to be a world of a difference, okay? And build it up to an hour. Let's say you just make, you know, you take 12 to 1, you take 4 to 5 for your time just to make calls, okay? And I think it's super important to stay consistent on those and just kind of take those small little steps, those little wins, you know, each and every day. All right? And I think, you know, that's kind of the, you know, the main thing. You know, mainly in this video, I just wanted to talk about, you know, what to say to sellers. So, you know, we can kind of recap, you know, the 6 responses. Yes. Yes, how much will you give me? Maybe in the future. No. Who are you? How'd you get my number? Right? So this is kind of a basic video of just telling you guys, you know, what to say to sellers. And, but I think the most important, guys, is this 4 pillars of pre-qualifying. The condition of the property, the timeline to sell, their motivation, and the price. So make sure you guys go to talktopeople.com. I'll put the link to the description. I'll also put Brent Daniels' YouTube in the description. He's amazing. He's great. I'm part of their little program there. I'm a student of the program, and it's helped me, you know, greatly. And he's got tons of free content on his YouTube also, guys. So make sure you guys click that. If you guys did gain knowledge and value from this video, please leave a like, comment what you guys want to see next, and make sure you guys hit that little house in the bottom right corner to subscribe. I appreciate all you guys. Peace.